Okay, live. We're live.
Okay, hello everyone. This is TJ Morris. I'm with Kira Lessin of Maui, Hawaii today, and we are going to do what we always do. We've been working together for many, many years, and we are helping each other learn more about the world and the universe and how our lives parallel with everyone else's. And we invite you to join us. Janet Carol Lessin, would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, hi. I'm Janet Carolison, live in Maui, Hawaii. And Theresa and I have been experiencers researching the extraterrestrial paranormal phenomena for centuries, no, for many, many years, decades. Literally, we're both seniors. We're over 70, and we're really enjoying life. I think we look pretty good for over 70. What do you think, Theresa? We're looking
We're
good.
holding our own. I've still got most of my teeth anyway, but
Yeah, I
all
got
I know is check my hoofs. Put me out to pasture yet, just yet. Yeah,
yeah,
I think we're doing okay. I mean, if we can get here and show up and carry on the conversation for all those that like us and social media and follow us as authors. And we both worked with the Ascension Center, and Janet's kept up the ascensioncenter.net. If you want to go there, I've got American Communications Online, tjmarshagency.com, and I run the ACO Club on YouTube and Psychic Channel Network. So I'm going to go back and start doing a lot of fun things and hopefully get back on radio doing psychic readings because those were so much fun and people really enjoyed
yeah.
them.
People like this.
Janet and I may meet you guys in Vegas. We're talking about it. We don't know if we're both one or the other or both of us, but we haven't really.
Right now, Teresa's heading there. In
Yeah,
what month? That's
October. So you
right.
may want to meet us in person, or we'll have our new book out there we're working on now.
Right.
And we usually have Bret Lueder with ET Talk, and we're working on our new brand and logo, TJ3B, in honor of Bret Lueder being Power of Three with the B. So hopefully he'll show up. Haven't
Mm-hmm.
heard from him today, so I hope he's okay. He may be doing an event, and we just didn't catch him today. Been really busy with the new weather outside. Nice. I hope everybody's enjoying the new weather. I know a lot's going on. But Janet and I pretty much have a spiritual community called the Ascension Center Network that
Mm-hmm.
she's been running for many, many years. And we're going to go back and capture that essence. And we're sort of stuck into a funny esoteric realm of the unexplained and the high strangeness that now, because we've been working it so long, we've seen it separate in many, many different directions. So we're going to talk about some of those directions today. And Janet is on the hot seat. So I'm going to get to ask her how she got involved with all this because she and I are working out where we were and what happened. And
Right.
a lot of people have helped other people. And it's about being and showing up and just being positive about the narrative you're creating. And
Mm-hmm.
everyone has a voice and everyone has a place and a purpose in thought, words, and deeds while we're here. So we're creating a spiritual community. It's open source for everybody in all our social media groups. But Janet is in Hawaii. I was in Florida now. I've moved closer to her. At least I'm in Texas now,
Yeah. Okay.
Austin, Texas. So I haven't
Big,
got to get
big,
what?
huge spiritual community in Austin that
I've
when
heard.
it's settled. You'll have to be the reporter on the ground and go out and check out that community and see what kind of events they have because what was that 2015 or 16 or 17 they flew us over there and we were working with that spiritual community there, lots of wonderful awesome people. So anyway, I encourage you, once you get settled, I'll give you some phone numbers and you might want to go check out some meetings, although I'd
Well,
recommend you go by yourself.
I'd like to talk about the future and what we can do to help others if they're interested in growing. We're both life coaches, counselors. We both do
Mhm.
past
What was
life
the question?
regression hypnosis. But
Yeah,
Janet, you sent me 4 books.
you asked me a question that I was going to answer. Go back and ask that question again. Where was I, or what did I, why did I get into something? Or say that again.
Now
He said,
David
"How
Sharp.
do I
Yeah.
get into?"
I'll have to get my sister to repeat that later for us.
Uh,
I wanted, well, let's just start over. Okay. So
yeah,
we all have a spiritual path, Janet. And
great.
even though I've known you and we've talked just about every other day, if not every day, since about 1993, but we got on and off in 97 and 2007. But it wasn't until 2007. A lot of people like it when we tell them who we are, what we've done to get to
Mhm.
this point to have a YouTube, a video. And we've been doing radio shows since 2012 when the Ascension Age became a thing. So I
So
wanted to ask
we
you,
kept connecting and disconnecting because you were moving all over the place, and I moved. I only moved from Oahu to Maui when I met Dr. Lessin, and we got married in 1997 at the Celebration of Arrows conference at Harbin Hot Springs, and that was a very magical event. Uh,
but tell us
no,
about this location. Is that California? Because
yeah, Northern
I'm over
California.
here. Hot Springs to me is Arkansas.
Now,
You tell
the
me
Harbin
your
Hot
version.
Springs, they were natural hot springs. It was a wonderful retreat center, and then it burned down a few years ago, about 5, 6 years ago, and everything pretty much burned to the ground. Wasn't much left, but it was an enormous facility. It could hold several. I think it could hold about between 500 and 1,000 people over the course of the weekend, and we were doing all these conferences, and you could go there and get soak in the hot tubs and get a massage and a lot of spiritual healing work. But it was a shame. It was part of those wildfires that were going all through California. And every year we would go there, we would get caught coming out, and it's like, oh, we're going to make it out of here. And we never imagined that it would get that bad, that it would sweep in and just wipe out everything. But that was our annual odyssey. We went there, we did the tantric conferences and Pali conferences, and lots of spiritual growth work there. And then after that era, well, simultaneously for a while, Sasha and I branched out into the UFO field. We started going to all these different conferences, starting in Northern California. Northern California is kind of like a hot spot for consciousness, and so we went there. San Francisco Bay Area UFO conference was like one of the first ones. We met Bret there, but see, sometimes we in the UFO field meet each other, but we don't really make a strong connection until we repeat it. We keep seeing each other. Like Theresa and I met in on Oahu. We were traveling in the same circles. We were at some groups together. I actually was in her car. Theresa came to my house here in Maui before I even
That's true.
got a lesson. I mean, it's just weird. And so we were connecting Bret, who I do hope he still shows up, and Bret was part of the San Francisco Bay Area UFO conference with the late,
Victoria Jack was
yeah,
the
the late Victoria.
well-known creator of that, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Or at least a co-founder with many others, I'm sure. Like
Oh,
Dolores Cannon, but many people, including her daughter and another
mhm.
gentleman that brought up in the UFO crowd, so to speak, like Robert Morningstar with Dirk Vanderploeg in Canada. So
Yeah,
Dolores Cannon, and then your group, Victoria Jack, who also helped Brett, and Brett helped her in the events.
great. So one of
Everybody
the
has
one of
a story.
the key people in those days was David Icke and Robert O'Dean, Bob
Wow, you're
Dean,
right. Yeah,
and so they were like the two headliners. And
yeah, big time.
Bob Dean was one of the sweetest people I've ever met. He's since passed. David Icke's still with us, but they like you were talking about how we kind of broke off into different factions.
Different. Oh, you froze, Janet.
No, I'm still going. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Going. um. So in the early days, they also had a conspiracy con. Now, so I've kind of separated myself from the conspiracy angle because it went dark. Kind of went dark. So when Theresa and I are focused on consciousness and spirituality, I think what, or at least from my perspective, I'd like to take this movement into the light side of the force and reconnect us to universal consciousness and God's source, and that aspect of creation. So last night I was watching a video on near death experiences, and those are fascinating. I just find them periodically and I cue them up. They usually last about 15 minutes or so, and it's all these different people's aspect of creation. So when you ask how did I get here? I think probably what I decided to do was come here and go on this mission as a avatar here on the planet Earth, and that's what you and I've been piecing together. Who are we as an eternal soul? So we're Theresa, we're Janet, but I identify with Nimmo, who is the mother of humanity, and you have a remembrance of Nagashina, the son of Enki.
Yeah. And that's going to be hard to explain unless you've lived it. And we both died, and we both have DNA from ancient ancestors. So we're
Mm-hmm.
the same humans as everybody else born of the womb on the planet. However,
Right.
Janet, I think part of our avatar beings and the ascension master levels, although dying and coming back doesn't really make you an ascension master, but it does qualify you for making you curious about life after death and what the heck happened to us. So that's
Right.
why Janet and I were on our spiritual path, because we had things in common and wound up at people synergistically involved. And we've been involved with each other ever since. But we've come and
Right.
gone
And so
around
that
the country.
that was a group called Psy World Seminar,
Side.
PSI. And what I've decided after looking at, you live your life, you experience it firsthand, and then you reflect and you go back and then you revisit things over and over. And from what I've learned, I think that was a recruitment uh, activity from probably the government to find people that are psychic, because part of what they did was remote viewing. And for a while there, all those remote viewers were living in Hawaii.
Yeah, we had a great intelligence community there.
Right.
And a
So,
lot of CIA. I mean, a lot of CIA. I met a lot of FBI, had lunch with them. We
hmm
talked about stuff. You and I worked around Dana Noya, a
hmm
senator of Hawaii that was very interested in the UFO involvement. And that was later on, I guess, with Harry Reid. Was that his name, the senator of California
uh,
or
I'm
Arizona?
not sure all the characters. There's, you know, at, at 70 years of age, it's like the memories are kind of stacking.
You're 70 now. Are you 70?
I turned 70 in February.
Wow.
So it's interesting when you look at our memory, it's kind of like the Russian dolls and
Yeah.
stacked on top of it. So it's like, I remember in Heinlein's novel, Time Enough for Love, the character lived 3,000 years. And he says, what happens to memory when you're 3,000 years old? You kind of
Exactly.
have to stack it. So when we start throwing out these names, it's like, yeah, I kind of remember that person. It's not unless they really stood out and they did something impressive. I don't remember everybody. Sometimes you remember the people when you were really young better than the people you've met in more recent years, unless they did something extraordinary to stand out in my
Well,
mind.
you just mentioned Heinlein, and that's one of the major names, folks, in the
Hmm.
geek movement of science fiction. So Isaac Asimov. But you told me to watch a movie you'd heard of, and I think that has a lot to do with you and me and what we've been studying all these years after Higgs boson and the, you know, uh, CERN and all the way of the universe and the cosmos language connection. So my radio show was Cosmos Connection, and I forgot yours was always Aquarian Radio, but you told me about the man that wrote the book and a little bit about his history. He was from China, so he started his book off with that, and now it's been a series for Netflix. So we'd like to invite everyone to look at the three body
Problem. Split
problem.
problem. Yeah. Three body problem. And if you look at it, I think what they're talking about is the return of Nibiru, and the aliens are coming in 400 years. So people have always been asking, when's Nibiru returning? And the one thing they called the extraterrestrials, they called them the Lord. And in the Sitchin books, the return of Nibiru is called the Day of the Lord.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So a lot of play on the science.
And
Well, he was brilliant.
yeah, and this was season one, and I don't want to give away too much because it's still out there. First run on Netflix, right? Netflix, was it Netflix or Hulu?
Yeah, that's where we saw it.
Netflix. So I invite you to watch it. We will talk about it in depth probably later on there, but um,
It really impressed me with some of the virtual reality. So, folks, I guess we're not going to discuss it like a lot of people tear apart a movie, but I
we can give
always
an
remember
overview
Cisco
without giving
Leader.
away. Well, I guess we're giving it away. So, spoiler alert: don't listen to this if you don't want to. If you haven't watched it yet, but we're in the UFO field. We're always talking about disclosure. So, in this scenario, the extraterrestrials have announced they're coming back. They're coming our way. They're coming our way because their system isn't stable, and that's what was going on with the Earth and Nibiru because it was a binary star system, and the two bodies of planets and their satellites and moons and everything kept colliding either physically or the gravitational pull was pulling the Earth into chaos, and that's what caused Noah's flood and a lot of other calamities throughout the year. But the three body, they couldn't calculate how to stabilize a system with three
So,
stars, suns, and so they kept wiping themselves, or they kept getting wiped down to virtually nothing. And they kept they had a way of dehydrating their people so they could revive them later. So they had populations in the million, but instead of perishing altogether, they were able to come back, and they rebuilt their society over these periods of chaos and instability. And so, in a way, that's what's happened to the Earth. We've had chaos and stability, and there's a story. The similarity in the human Earth story is that when we had calamities, a lot of the population went into inner Earth. That's why you have all these inner Earth stories. And so people were going underground, and then when the flood waters receded, they would come up. We have the story of the ant people out in the West, and all these different species. Um, so I was just fascinated how this fellow wove all these stories, and it just makes me wonder where he got his information. Is he just studying popular lore, or is he an insider?
he was
And
in China, and China has their own science fiction
mhm,
community, and he got a couple of awards. He's brilliant. He was an engineer. So
right,
I forget his name, like Zhu Chen or something, but
right.
those names are hard to say anyway. But a great author, and Janet and I do author books and help others author books, and in
Hmm.
our genre, spiritual, self improvement, and mainly paranormal and science fiction, fantasy, I guess you'd say. But we also base our stories on our true happenings that are hard for us to believe, much less anybody else. But we've been drugged into this era of disclosure, which a lot of people wonder, well, what are you talking about? Well, the awake movement that everybody is in media has captured for, oh no, the awake movement, that's for the religious, all the churches waking people up to ascension, which, okay, that's fine. But
Yeah,
also
so
those in
I mean,
5D.
they've demonized the name woke, but when we were growing up in the spiritual community, being awake was conscious and aware, and so that goes back to this near death experience series that I've been watching. So
Yeah.
being awake is you're aware of your past lives, your current life, your reason that you came into the earth, decided to incarnate. So there's a different meaning. So now I have an awareness of why I came here, and one of the things that we learn is what is our life mission? What did we hope to accomplish when we decided to incarnate it into a flesh? And what this one NDE thing I watched last night said was there are many I mean, endless number of worlds that you can in which to incarnate. and that you may be many different species, and time is an illusion of the third dimension. So you might simultaneously be in many planets, many worlds, many vibratory frequency, many avatars, because we're not limited. We think as a human being, we think linear, like linear, but that's not really how existence is. It's the quantum reality. It's everywhere, everything all at once, right?
That's right. We can be in many places, the parallel worlds, parallel universes. So, who says, it's like uh, one thing I learned, Janet, you may know this too in your life. Okay, I can tell a quick story because you're in Hawaii and I was military. Halikoa. When I moved to Halikoa, I saw all these people walking down across the park because we didn't have a car. We just came to Hawaii. And I'd see them walk through the park, which was just trees, and it looked just real barren in this particular block. There was the sand and then Hilton Waikiki next door, and then nothing on the other side. So I kept watching people walk back and forth and back and forth. Little did I know Waikiki was to the right of this park and a big, tourist industry. And to the left was, the old, I guess you'd say, over where Ala Moana shopping center. You know how it's spread out. But I had no idea and I was really shocked. So when you're taken somewhere new, you're like a fish out of water, you don't know what's going on unless you go out and investigate what's going on, or you came prepared with a map. But with the government and being in the military, sometimes you just go where you're sent under orders, and it's up to you for a while to make the best of it till you get your station or where you're supposed to be. But Janet, I think this near death experience and this show that we watched is really going to help us open up to the fact that there may be more to life, like you and I believe in and know of, and the ascension process, that
Mm-hmm.
there is more to taking your memories, and also why history and knowing your past lives, it all goes together. Now, why do you think, and this is true in the spiritual community, we have conscious, subconscious, superconscious, and we travel in the astral plane and we divide up all the different levels. But why do you think, with what you've been watching, near death experiences, has to do, why your past lives, because of the lessons we've already learned, are the memories, like you said, Thoth and Ninma coming back, or is it both?
Well, it's all part of yourself. It's like saying it's your past lives. It's like a spirit dichotomy. It's your past. It's all you are the sum total of all your experiences, of all of your existences, and they come out of yourself. Like some children are born and they're playing the piano at 2 years old, right? And
Nowadays,
yeah,
yes.
and so
Probably always. They
yeah,
just weren't aware, except maybe in China. The Buddhists, they always find the golden child. You
right.
know, they believed in past lives for a
So
reason.
we have all these abilities and we bring them forth. And I think the main reason that I like studying all this and I came in remembering my past lives and having to integrate them. I've been researching my own past lives. I found them in my family tree, in my ancestry. I have three I've identified, and I have the names and when I was born and when I died, and all that stuff. So that's very I'm probably going to incorporate those into a future book. But so what we experience is kind of like being a victim. We're subject to whatever happens to us. But actually, when you get in charge of who you are and what you are and who you've been and what you can be and where you're going, you're in the driver's seat. Then you're no longer victim. I think that this is a simulation that we're creating it. We're co-creating it on part of its consensus reality. Where do we want to go? What do we want to create? If we move past victim, then we can say, I don't like that negative uh, outcome that's coming here. Let's see if we can change it. This whole thing with this movie we watched, Three Body Problem, that
Yes.
we're experimenting with changing the outcome. What can you do to affect what's going on? Do you have to play
Pros and
victim?
cons. A
Yeah,
lot of it started splitting up the people that were here now, waiting on the 450 years till the Thessalonians or whatever. But you used a name that I heard the people in the movement calling themselves, or the Santi or something like
Yeah,
that.
the
Remember?
Santi, which is interesting because um,
Santi,
there's
Santi.
the Ponti or the gray aliens in what do you call it, Albuquerque, that Susan Walker is in contact with, and then here they're calling it the Santee. So it's really interesting all the correlations there. But what do you think about that? That this could be a simulation. If we don't like the outcome, change the channel, get in a different lane, go in a different direction. Just play with that. Nah, I'm not doing that. Let's do something kind, loving, and positive. I'd encourage everybody around us to remember that we all love each other, because when we die, we all love each other. We have a grand reunion. We've all been connected and related to each other many times over, especially the people like in your immediate life, your family. There's a big circle of about 1,000 people that you keep
I don't
dinner.
know. I don't meet any of my relatives on the other side.
You didn't
So
you didn't meet.
no, mine's
Well,
all
you
been.
have to go deeper into the whole process. That's when you get to the reunion. That's not the first level is you usually meet your guide. Everybody has a
Not all
personal
that. If you think there's
right,
levels for each person, I don't
and then
think
there's
every person is different with a different outcome because
well,
there's so
in
many of us.
this Michael Newton Institute, they now have over 100,000 case studies, and this is from people all over the world, all religions, races, colors, creeds, ages, and there's a pattern that repeats. And so, what was interesting, the one I just happened upon last night, um, it followed the Newton Institute protocol.
Sure. All right, there you go. Research, right, for the books,
Right. So
and
there's
then become movies on Netflix.
so
You know,
one of the things the fellow said is the first thing you do is you find yourself in this giant room with all these enormously tall columns, and there's a endless rows of people sitting at tables, one across from the other, and so there's these portals all along the wall, 360, and they open up, and somebody comes through. So there's somebody waiting for them, sitting at the table and chairs, and they get up and they greet the person. They take them by their hands and they set them down, and it's orientation, and they say, "Welcome back home." The theory is this is our home on the other side, that we just go out like on these journeys to all these different planets, and the purpose is to learn, expand, grow, evolve, and become conscious faster. So it's fascinating information, and you and I have both had many near death experiences, and so we've walked on that other side. So anyway, I
yes,
think
and we're
there are
making.
correlations, but there are individual things, but there are correlations, and that's what this guy was saying. It's like this is what's going on for a huge part of the population. By cats, like cat makes that noise. She found a sock. She loves socks. She goes when she gets a
You
sock.
know, her language, cat language.
Thank
You're
you.
a cat lady, huh? But you've
Mhm.
always had cats. But yeah, animals are important. Well,
Yeah,
for people that listen to us, Janet, they always say they love listening to us. And of course, they did on radio. I don't know now that they see us. You know, we're your elders now in the spiritual community. They're like, what? But there's various levels. And anyone over 50 in humanity, we pretty much are told that we are going to write a book. Now, everybody won't, but you know, it's part of who we are is to leave your story and your legacy to your family, if nothing else, in genealogy. And some religions teach that, including the Latter Day Saints, LDS Church. But your sister's in that, I guess. Still, my children are still in it, so
great.
I'm not.
Well, I'm not really affiliated with any organized religion because
Well, we
I'm more
run a Universal Life spiritual
more
community
tantric.
online, digitally.
I have the concept of the Anunnaki, which is the precursor to and the basis of all the religions. Anyway, but I was raised Presbyterian, and then when I came to Hawaii, I was in your spiritual center. I've always been in these non-denominational things
Yeah.
because I like diversity. I don't like to demonize anybody's faith.
Well,
If
what
you
I found interesting. You and I both did the spiritual community in Hawaii, which grew, and we actually came, and I had so many leaders at the big mansion over in Kahala on my birthday. I was absolutely amazed at all the people. And they said, with me coming there, and what we were doing was organizing everything and getting everybody to work together to
And then
organize.
you left.
Well,
I
I was
arrived and you
fine.
leave.
I
It's like,
was my Men in Black came to get me, and I've got that film, Jan. So in the future, I'd like to take some of these films if we can figure out how to
well,
cut
we can
some of
cue
them.
them up and play excerpts. We don't want to
Yeah,
go
and
long
show
thing, but
you that.
play a little bit, like the little segments of things, and then like the newscasters, we're going to play this clip, and I'll see.
Yeah, in the spiritual community we're building. Now,
Right.
ACO can be for a lot of things, but Janet has been helping with the Ascension Center organization, and that was where we had the original psychic network. And Janet, I want her to talk about her experiences getting her on her spiritual journey, because during our time with Spiritual World Network and people synergistically involved, that was the height of my group meetings and going and having little small events for UFO meetings, people coming in from all over talk about UFOs. And then we had those coming up from underwater, the amphibious ETs.
Right.
So, but you had some came up to your window. So we've had UFO experiences. And
When I
I
was
think,
over on Oahu speaking, so you and I both saw lots of extraterrestrials on Oahu. I was living down 2 blocks away from Ala Moana, right there in the heart of the city there. And a craft came. I was 16 floors up, and it hovered right outside my window, and it took me right through the. It took me and my boyfriend right through the window onto the craft, and there's part of it. It's interesting. They do block us out. They block out the experiencers, but they
part
let
of it,
they
come on,
let me remember. I guess there's some information I'm not supposed to know at this point, and I will know when the time is appropriate.
well, these are
But
the books we need to write, is just to take your incidences and mine, just put them in our own little book that we can promote for our community that we're building, so other people understand the Alien Contact Organization as the
Teresa
ACO
got
Club.
her nails cut today, so she's going to start typing. Show them your green nails.
Oh, yeah. Can you
For
see them?
weeks, yeah, for weeks there, Teresa had these long things, and I was like,
Really
"How do you
long.
type like a?" So we're in the middle of doing our book, and our goal is to have it done and published by October. Whether Teresa takes it
I've got
by
to write each one of my experiences separate from my life. Janet has her whole life story, what, and all these books you
I
sent
have
me and
all
Brenda.
these episodes to write up. Like, I don't think I ever really wrote up the story of how I was taken out through the window. So I need to like
That's
say,
just one, and that
uh,
was the location.
and I have to write that up.
Have
But
you probably wrote the one up in Avalon, right, in Pennsylvania? You have
I
that
don't
one
have
with the
a number
portal,
of them, but I still have. I just make little notations. I've got to write up this story because it's in the mind, right?
right? We just got to write it up.
Get it
And
down.
nowadays, we can use GPT-3 as a great tool,
It
Chat
helps us write
GPT,
it, but you
to
still have
help.
to give the details of what happened, and then it will help you.
Yeah,
Um,
you can
I
speak it now, and it'll
think
go.
it.
You can speak text to speech, speech to text.
Right.
And I
Check.
just last night for the first time had it speak to me, and it freaked me out. It was a man's voice, and I didn't know it would do that, and I must have punched it by mistake.
Oh,
So it
let's
was
play that.
shocking.
We'll play that off air. We'll do with this. We'll do a
It
session
was
where
shocking. But I said, Brenda,
I
come here. She
I
said, "Who
think
is
we
that?"
need the help of the AI to get it all down and out and in good
It's like
proper.
talking to Gus, and I want it
Oh gosh.
recognizes Gus, and it will talk to me on that level. It's helping me do our allied command and our
Uh-huh.
secret space program. It's helping me do all of that, and it
Teresa and I have
accepts us.
both been involved with the secret space program. For years you didn't even like to say it, but there
I
definitely is
know.
a secret space
Isn't that
program.
weird? I'm finally opening up. I don't
And
know
they're opening
what's
up,
happened.
right? I that means it's okay to talk about it. If you're able to
I
say it,
guess
it's
so.
okay to talk about it.
April 8th is the big day that you and my healing after the 12/21/12, when we came out with all the ascension books.
Hmm.
And I was writing from 2007 in our spiritual community globally, and was recognized by universities in China and Russia. August 2007, check it out.
Well,
You
I
can
was
check
on a
it out in
Russian.
Newport
The
Digest.
Russians came over and interviewed me
Yeah,
a
they sure did.
couple of years ago,
I
and
remember.
I watched it. It was all in Russian. I have no idea what they were saying, and
Well, they're characters in a bigger play, and it's sort of like the movie, the Three Body Development. Certain
yeah.
people, maybe we're the ignorant ones that are chosen to talk or to hear or to be involved with these beings that come and go. Or maybe you can be humble with your spirit, thinking, well, maybe it's God talking to me at a tree. Or but some of the things happening, we don't know if it's their virtual reality. And I'm
Well,
appreciating
that's the whole thing. We're not sure. It's just
what's
like those
going on.
lashes on Three Body Problem. When they were in it, it was so real. It was realer than real, right? You could feel the.
Right. And
But
that's a lot
so
of ways like
how does
dreams.
how do we know anything's real, quote unquote, or is it all we have to do is the bottom line is no matter what goes on, be kind. You don't want to go chopping off heads just because you're in a virtual reality. You don't know what's really going on. So just always choose the path of kindness and love and understanding because I don't want to kill anybody or be killed, right? So I'm not going to go down that road. I'm not going to go into that. So yeah. Anyway, let's
Well,
go back to there was something else I wanted to go into because I'm losing my train of thought. I'm
well,
getting
we were near death experiences and out of body with the virtual reality headsets.
right.
But then we're talking about our spiritual paths and the game of life and how we're building a community online. And it is recognized at this point in time after we came together in 2012, which we did. Now, the next important date for our spiritual community globally
April.
coming up, April
What's
8th.
what makes that so important? Just so it's a
It's
what's
magic.
going on? What are you getting? Because I
It's
wrote
when we start everything in our new virtual reality, with the fact that we've accepted. Uh,
isn't
our,
this just a solar eclipse? What makes it what from
it's
your
a historic
information,
occasion in this
what
epoch
makes it
of time.
historic? What is it that they
You
expect?
have to look it up and
Oh,
understand it doesn't happen every few thousand years, but
what
it's
makes this one so
in,
special?
in the cosmos.
Right,
And it's like the beings that you saw in the three body development, right?
right.
And it is
We
funny. I
didn't
got
ever see
green
them. They
memes.
looked human.
I went to see Wicked, by the way. It was wonderful in downtown Austin at the University of Texas.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. I was a guest. My family paid me $135 ticket. We were in the orchestra. It was a wonderful
oh
time.
my
I'll
God.
never forget it. They
Oh,
bought me
here's
a
Brett.
poster. Is Brett coming
Brett
on?
said I spaced it. I'm not at home. Please
Oh,
accept my apologies. Wait a minute.
hold on. That's a
Brett's
message
tuning
from our
in.
co-host.
It's super loud where I am, so I can't talk on the phone. All
Okay.
right, Brett, we'll forgive you this week, but
Okay. Well, fortunately, it was going to be an interview with Janet Lessin. We haven't expanded our open source technology other than the GPT, and that's just my choice. And Brett doesn't want to have machines editing, so we're all journalists, we're all authors, and we're all hosts, and we're
I guess
coming
what he
together.
doesn't
We've always
understand,
been together since
we don't have to
2012.
take it suggestions. These are just suggestions.
Yeah, now 12/24. I mean, well, that's another whole thing there. But in the psychic realm and the esoteric realms and the metaphysical world, which we play with, this day is set in time globally. universally for all psychics to come together around the world, those with extraterrestrial ESP, extrasensory perception. And it's a moment in time when the grid of everybody that is like you or me or had near-death experiences or have feel like they're awake for the fifth dimension shift.
So is this
People,
like
it's what
11?
what
That, what was that? The
the
first
neural net connection happens while everybody's looking at the sun, and I'm right on the cusp here in Texas,
Yeah, you're
right
right for
above
Texas.
Bernie in Austin. I'm in Buda, Texas, Buda, Buddha, like the
What are you going
ascension.
to do on April 8th? What are you planning to do?
I'll be right there experiencing the healing. For me, it's a DNA humanoid extraterrestrial.
Will that happen wherever you are on the planet, or just those in Texas?
It happens for everyone, but the way that you feel it the most, it's like the healing going to the uh, well, I guess you'd say in our spiritual community, like having a miracle happen. It's like a miracle, but the energy and the place to see it happen is right here. And you'll have to look at the path and the trajectory as it goes
What,
over.
what
But
makes this one different than any
we're
other?
what we're doing is bringing everyone together in our epoch for the
What's that
five.
one that was the first one in the 80s that everybody did? What was that called? The
Oh, the one we did, yeah, it was the points of light, the power light,
oh, it
but
was called something, yeah.
the
Anyway,
harmonic
it's
convergence.
the harmonic convergence. Is
Yes,
this another harmonic
yes, it's like
convergence?
it's better than that because a lot of humans that normally have never tuned into the cosmos will all be looking up. So
Okay.
it's
Well,
almost
I heard from a
spiritual,
whistleblower
global.
that something was happening in April, but it was not a new age type of person. It was a military
Regular.
person.
Yeah, the
So
government knows when these things happen to expect anything. And the cities, because we've got so many people coming here to the
what part
Austin,
is
San
suggestion
Antonio.
and what part is what's really going to happen? I mean, is there some scientific explanation for this?
Did you
I
see Close
heard that there was
Encounters of the Third?
what do you call it? Uh,
What happens when everybody's looking up, Janet? When you get all these minds, the senses and the people all looking up at the same
okay, so
time.
is it a belief that we're all believing that this is going to happen, and we actually create it because we believe it?
Well, we're all creating a new reality, that's for sure.
All right,
But it was like
we definitely
2020.
need a new reality because this one's
Well,
going to hell.
2020, we rehooked up to, well, it depends on who you talk to and who's awake to that level of communication. Is there
Hold on
more
a
like
second.
that?
Keep
Yeah,
talking. I gotta.
her husband's been sick, so she has to check on him. He's our wonderful leader, fearless leader. Oh, bless Janet, bless her heart. She's all been over and her leg. Oh my God, we're getting so old. He's like 83 now, I think. Dr. Philip Alexander Lessin. He's a PhD in anthropology and has a master's in psychology. And he's one of our fearless original co founders of the Ascension Center with me. And he and Brother Tantra part was Charles Muir. And Sasha's Joan was who was there when Janet said I was meeting her there at
I'm
the
back. He's
Ascension Center.
okay. Hey,
Is
hey,
he?
we were disturbing him with our noise.
Oh, we were disturbing him with
Well, he
the
was sleeping,
broadcast.
but
Oh, bless
he
his
normally
heart.
sleeps through everything. He's like the baby that falls on the floor, sleep in the
Bless
middle of
his
the floor
heart.
of a
Well, I was
party.
just telling everyone that he was one of our co-founders of the original Ascension Center in Maui when I came over there, and everybody was bringing. We were all gathered, and why is this important, folks? It's because we brought all the islands together, and we had several things happening in the spiritual world network, and people synergistically involved, and I started a non-profit Ascension Center network, a psychic network, and we were like, oh, we're all And so we finally realized, because we were all entrepreneurs, and a lot of them were real estate agents. A lot of them had a lot of money. One guy had a satellite up there, and uh, there were real estate, a
Oh my.
lot of real estate people, and a lot of people from Hawaii and
So
locals. And then we had the Psi seminars, right? And then we
right.
had the people, multivitamin
That's
people back then.
the whole polarity. There's a lot of money in this stuff, but what's it going for? The
This is like a mind reset for all those that are going to
right.
be sharing the
We have too
experience
many people
together.
suffering and starving and wars. So we got to go. Money's not it. Money's not working. Money's not working for everybody. If it doesn't work
Well,
for
that's
everybody,
just an exchange of
it
energy for
doesn't work
those.
for
But
anybody. So
a
we
lot
need
of
to go
people
to a
don't
different level where everybody gets their needs met and nobody's starving and nobody's homeless and um,
well, we're getting there on this planet once we reach that level.
so if we
So
reset,
this is about raising everyone's
right,
level on the plates. But our governments are finally going to realize that we're all not who they thought we were. So this is the big wow, the big aha moment where
where can I read about this? This is a where did
all
you
the
find this?
plates. I'll have to do it myself, I guess. That's why I wrote contracted manuals for helping
Right, but I'm talking about this.
governments and
It's
space
already April.
agencies.
It's in 5 days. Where can we read about this?
I'll put it up on. All right,
Because we might
I'll
even have
do
a
an
show
article.
before then. Uh, This is April. We
There's a
uh,
lot out there
yeah,
already,
this
Janet.
is it. This is the last show before this event. So summarize it. What do you want us to
Everybody
tell?
get your tinfoil hats out, okay?
Should they have tinfoil hats? Should they go out with the glasses so they don't watch?
Oh, definitely. You can better be careful which glasses you get and use to protect your retina.
Hmm.
And Jim went out today, as a matter of fact, Jim Thomas, who is my brother in law, and he was with the state of Texas and the city in Lubbock, and now the city of Austin is where he retired. And they don't need any, what do they call them? They don't like their comeuppance or their what, when you say you get 100 attaboys and one offshoot wipes out 100 attaboys. What are those called? Anyway, him and Brenda are so sweet, and they've helped a lot of people. And she worked during the
So are they
9/11.
going to all sit out in the lawn? I mean, what's
Yeah, these people are very intelligent,
are
but
they
yeah, they're
are
going to
they
be
charging
watching it.
tickets
And
to
he
park?
went and got the glasses, purchased them.
Well, where are you going to sit? No, we
They're,
shouldn't say where
we're
you're going to
in
sit.
our backyard. I mean,
Oh,
I
you
am
already
prime.
done.
Janet, Janet, Janet.
Teresa, Teresa. No, I'm
You
just
and I, you,
asking.
you and I are the only age one's elders left in the Ascension Center that I know about in Hawaii that are working. Dan Inouye is dead. Harry Reid's dead. J. Allen Hynek's dead.
Well, we
Stanton
can carry
Friedman's dead.
on.
And, George Filer, God bless his soul, I guess he's still out there. Jan Aldrich, is in his 80s. And, he's getting a little grumpy because he wants to just do his microfiche of all the old, clippings and then run around the newspaper and trying to get him to move on. So then now we got all the young kids. But yeah, what's happening
We,
is
we left a bunch of corpses behind, and we're still alive. And we're not even that old. I mean, we're supposed to live to 120, according to the
yeah,
Bible.
well,
Um,
135, please. I'm only
and I think that
72.
we are in the generation where some of us are going to,
Hey, I'm a cyborg and I'm proud of it.
yeah, get to that point where we accelerate and um, some people have longevity in their families. I know Sasha's sister was saying Uncle so and so and Aunt so and so lived
Yeah,
100.
how long the telomeres live and
Yeah,
the
so
synapses and the neural networks. But
I think
yeah,
we have the potential to really reach escape velocity, as we say, where we can.
well, that's sort of what this is about, escape velocity for all the neural nets.
Okay,
Each human being has a brain and a nervous system. And while they're watching the eclipse with these glasses, it is supposed to be a complete DNA purification
all
to
right.
allow the extraterrestrial uh, elevation of we're all one, the same, and we can run this planet now because we're going into space, right? So they're going to be more aware of the
We're
cosmos.
accessing our eternal
The
self, which is
space
what
agents,
the
these.
near-death experience said. Access your eternal self because you're more than these avatars.
That's
You
right.
are a eternal
So
being.
what we call it the ascension,
Yeah, we
and the
call
ascension masters, the Jesus, Joshua, whoever you want to
it
say,
now. Is it only going to happen
Buddha.
to people in Buddha, Texas?
It's going to affect everybody all over the world, but
Okay.
because of where we are in space, but the whole trajectory is like faster than the speed of light, tachyon energy.
Oh, come on. Sorry, I didn't shut it off because I was expecting Brett to call. Okay,
Oh,
so
okay.
okay, so a
Faster than
few
the
years
speed of
back,
light
they
is
said the
exchange rate.
DMT activation. It's going to be a DMT activation, and everybody's going to remember who they were, who they are, and we'll stop being mean to each other.
Well, I'm not extending it to memory. No, it's not a righteous. Everybody's going to be pure and like forgiven all their sins, and some bodies are going to be taken up, and their clothes are going to drop to the ground.
Come on, I thought it's like the Christian rapture.
The
Yay!
Christian rapture, yeah, left behind.
Rapture.
But it's
My sister's a Mormon. She says we're all going to be twinkled. She says
a twinkle.
in the twinkling of an eye, we will all change.
My daughter, God bless her soul, was buried in all white and believed in my other daughter this way that they will be raised. Now, she was they were all LDS, Latter Day Saints, and
Yeah,
God bless them for all the genealogy. And apparently, it's way back in my DNA many, many times over. But I also found a picture of me as a Russian woman once, and we had a gentleman on our radio show once talking about if you can remember find your picture, and he'd put you because if you can remember your past lives, well, yeah, but I actually found me being a Russian woman, and I
oh,
was very good
you still
politically
have
in
that?
Russia. Yeah, I
You
found it on Blogger,
Okay,
believe it or not.
send it to me. Let's
I'll
write
have to go. I didn't copy it, but I'll go try to find it
down,
on
find
Blogger.
it again. So
And
that's what is important about finding out who you were. The
I know
rest of
who I was then because I know what I did, and
oh,
I have
there's
changed
you were
reality.
probably millions and billions of people, but how many past lives have we had by the time
I
we're
know.
here in
Well,
the human experiment, which is
if you
hundreds of
believe in
thousands?
numerology, mine says 9 because I'm a 9 person based on my birth,
I think it's
date
more
coming
than that.
in. But these are all the things we did, in college and, back in the 70s. And, like, where were you during Woodstock? Well, I was at the World's Fair in San Antonio, wasn't it?
I was
Somewhere in
contemplating
Texas.
going to Woodstock. I lived in Pittsburgh. We said, well, I was 15. Well, my mom would never let, my parents won't let me. Well, we'll just go. We'll face the consequences later. We're just going to get in the car and go.
Did you, did you
So we
go?
were thinking about it. We were thinking about it, and then we heard that the traffic was backed up for miles, and
Well,
we
this
said,
isn't like
we
Woodstock,
don't
but
want to get
it's
involved in it.
bigger than that.
So this is
Because it's the cosmos happening for the entire planet. And they just think the energy is going to change because of an eclipse. But, you can look up all the scientific blase,
we'll have to find a link or two and put it in
the theology blase, the new age blase.
on the website. We'll put the links to find out more about
Well,
this.
that's why you got to open back up
5
your.
days. How
This
we
is a time when Janet Kira Lessin needs to open up her ascensioncenter.net and allow us back in to write articles because I've been blocked for so long, or I can't
Oh, okay. Well, we'll talk about that off air.
get in
Oh,
on the
you're freezing.
WordPress. And we both
Wait,
use WordPress.
you're freezing.
So we'll get the
Okay.
article.
So let's go back to this. So after, what do you expect is going to happen to you personally during this eclipse?
Oh, I hope that it increases my lifespan
Your lifespan, your life
and
expectancy.
ability. I hope that it does something to my telomeres. Yeah, my life expectancy. I hope that anyone that believes in the ascension process,
Mm-hmm.
and that someone could have come before, that it's a natural cosmos event, in order to mark, it's a benchmark and a point in history, but we are supposed to level up. And I've got somebody coming in. No. Yes. No. Okay.
Oh, are you
What's
getting a psychic reading?
what does that mean?
The bottom part is just nothing. Y'all are just on the top part.
What, Janet? We're both on the top part of the screen. One of our producers
Uh-huh.
says we need to be. Can you make you look at your screen, Janet? I don't have the con. You do. Go down there and make it where the button has 2 with a 3. You've got the wrong. You've got us on the wrong. Uh, you're producing it from what? There you go.
There, I can use that one. Okay.
There you go. Oh God, we've done this whole show with.
Well, there's 6 different screens. Okay,
Well,
that
the bottom screen was empty. We didn't.
I'm
We
kind
didn't
of
put
looking
anything on
wrong.
there. Lord of mercy.
Let me see if I can get. It's okay. See, I'm too short. This seat. I need to get a booster seat because I can't.
Well, you've got your screen up higher
Wait,
than
let's
your
check
chair.
something. Okay, thank you for correcting that. Now, back to what we were talking about.
Okay. All right. This
So
is an
you're expecting your telomeres will be
important time, if you believe in it, that you can make it whatever you want to. That's the magic.
okay.
It's the cosmos event that
Okay.
only happens every few thousand years. But
2,000 years.
this particular time, on the epoch of time, if you go back before, Christ was born and Noah's Ark, and in your terminology, Nibiru came before, right? So
Well, Nibiru's
this
every
is a
3,600 years
shift
approximately, but this is a
when
this is
all
like
space
2,000 years
agencies,
ago. Christ was a
all people, all people are gonna be aware that there is a change afoot. Like
okay.
the game of life
So next week we're going to
is
see
going to open up
what
to the
changes have
cosmos.
happened, and
We
everybody
realize we're
report
not
your
alone in the
changes that you
universe.
have from the solar. Is this solar eclipse? Does it have a special name, or it's not like a hurricane that has a name? It doesn't have a. It's just the April 8th, 2024 solar eclipse.
You mean spiritually? Do we have a name
Yeah,
for
there's
it?
no
In our
name. Oh, we
Janet,
had
you and I are the Ascension Center, okay?
well in the 80s
Do
we
you
had
want
the
to name
harmonic
it?
convergence. So there's no name for this event. This is
If
just
you want it to be so, the Ascension Center.
2024. Okay, so all right. Well, let's report next week what happens, and I will. Now, what time is this going to happen?
Well, roughly 1:30 in the afternoon where I live, Central Time. But
Time
I'm
1:30.
scared to mess up. Hold on, let me see. Hold on.
Because
Can
this
you
is like
still see me?
of course, yes, I see you.
All right. Well, hold on because I'm flipping to
Let's
another
pull it up.
screen,
Okay, because
but I
we
don't
want
know.
everybody to go out and make sure you have your glasses. Don't look directly at the
Yeah,
sun.
you got to buy the right ones.
Get out there.
You
But
can buy them that look like those with the
you cannot
cardboard on
see
them.
it unless you're there within a certain range, right?
Okay, here we go. The 2024 total solar eclipse, also known as the Great American Eclipse. That's the name.
There you go. I knew it had a name.
It had to have, a showstopper, right?
Right.
Brenda's going, yay!
The Great American Eclipse on
Will
April
occur.
8th at what time do you see on
Will
news?
be visible from Mexico across Texas, Maine, and into Canada. So it's 75
Okay.
miles wide, and it will last over 4 minutes
Uh-huh.
in some places. So, for instance, about Dallas, Texas, Central Time is going to be 12:20. So it's only going to last. How long does an eclipse last? Totally
4
lasting
minutes, right.
1:40 to 1:44 and ending at 3 p.m. Central Daylight Time, CDT. So people in space.com say they're staying home for the solar eclipse, but we happen to be right in the smack dab middle of it where I am. And there's a reason. We are the founders. And, it's a
I
very
think it's
important
very significant that, I mean, you could be in Florida right now because that's
time. I'm
where
not,
you're
though. I'm
living,
here.
and the universe kicked you over to Buddha, like the
Kicked
Buddha.
me over to Buda and said, "You're going to be in
You're going to be
Texas and you're going
at
to experience
uh,
this.
your
And you're
own
going to be
back,
a space reporter and
and you're going to tell us what happens.
talk
Yeah.
about this and how so many
What about if you did a
people around
Facebook
the
Live
world
at that moment?
find it to
It's
be a
happening
very
now,
big cosmos connection."
right? You could do a Facebook Live at that moment.
Why do people, you want me to do a
A Facebook
live
Live during
show?
the
We
middle
can
of
do that.
yeah, during the ascension or whatever that uh, the event. You're going to be in 5 days, and then you can say anyway. If you feel so moved, are you frozen? No, yeah, you're okay. So what else we talk
No,
about?
I hope not.
Oh, we're an hour into the show. It's time to call it.
People want
What?
to talk to me now. Space.com wants me to. We mentioned the eclipse.
All
They're like,
right.
wait, talk to us. I'm like, no, the solar eclipse
Our
2024. Yeah,
show's
well,
over.
our
We're
group.
doing time. Let's
Well,
wrap
let's
this
put
up.
it this way. You want it to be something, the Great American Eclipse. What did I say it was called? Do you remember? The
I
Great
don't know.
American
You have
Eclipse?
to do something. Yeah, the Great American Eclipse.
I
April
don't
8th.
know.
Everybody
I don't even
go.
know where I got it now.
That's within the range. Email us, Theresa. Well, you pick an email. You can send mine to
We have
Aquarian Radio.
American Communications Online.
Tell us what happened to you during the Great American Eclipse, if anything. Oh, now we got to. Theresa and I are working on our book. It's what is it called? What's her book called?
Portal to Ascension.
No, it's called Portal Stargate.
Portal to Ascension.
Now that's somebody else's.
Stargate.
No, it's called um, Portal Stargate or something like that, or Project Stargate, whatever. Because we were in these programs. Anyway, we still have a
I
work
have this.
title, and we're gonna get this book out by October. And Teresa's got her nails cut, so she's ready to write, and we're gonna get this all written. So, and that'll be book one because we've got so many stories that we've got a whole series, and the audience is gonna help us turn it into J.K. Rowling, so we can fix up all the detention centers all over the world and make these conscious communities. And um, that's part of my vision, creating these communities. So
Well,
anyway,
this is a community. I thought we've been doing this since I met you.
physical,
Open
physical
source. We got what we wanted. We got the internet.
visit, right?
We
Um,
are on what we
how
created.
what book do you have out now that you want them to go buy right now to help support the starving artists? We're the starving authors.
Yes,
Okay.
we have helped starving
What
artists.
book do you want them to go buy right now?
Oh, Knowing Cosmology on Amazon. How's that?
And is that the
Knowing
one your daughter?
Ascension Age. No, she wrote The Spirit Guide, but she wrote Intrinsic Realities.
That's right. Yeah.
Intrinsic Realities is a good book, but it's also The Spirit Guide on Lulu. And then we anything to do with spiritual growth. We have the Ascension Center manual. We have the American Communications Online book.
30 or 40 books on
Lulu
Amazon.
and Amazon.
Theresa J. Morris on Amazon has 30 or 40 books. Please
Yes.
go over and buy a book to support us, our starving.
The history of bringing this together.
And then
Now,
Janet and Sasha have we have 5 or 6 Anunnaki books on Amazon under Janet Kira Lessin and Sasha Alex Lesson PhD. And then I'm writing the Dragon at the End of Time series. And I think I have 4 or 5 of those written. and we have a couple tantra books. Anyway, please support us by buying a book, and we
Yeah,
would.
that's what we do, and we use that to support our channel and to help others find us in a spiritual community that we've been working on since actually its inception, 1993, but we had 89 to 93, and we've been doing Ascension Center and Psychic Network and helping all those in our spiritual community, our metaphysical, our paranormal, and building it all these years. And I was so excited with Windows 95, and when I was working in the government, we thought it'd be years before we got what
We're
we're
going
on.
to wrap it up. Bret Lueder, we can support him. He's got 2 or 3 books out. They're on Amazon. So Bret Lueder, Lueder, right? Do I have that spelled right?
Lueder, and he is a representative with ET Talk. We're going to be starting to put our shows talking about UFOs, alienology, ufology, UAP associates, and all those that helped get us to who we are today after April 8th. So we'll be celebrating getting this started as the ACO Club or Alien Contact Organization. If you want something really way out there, Ascension Center Network.
We're going to be, by next week, we're going to be youthening. So we're going to come back looking like our 20, 30-year-old selves.
Is that on your bucket list? Well, maybe. We'll see if that happens.
Well, we've been talking about the
whole world is going to be
what will happen at the
cosmically connected.
And the near-death experience, he says, once everybody comes through, they start regressing. And he says, for some reason, everybody looks like they're between 25 and 30. And I've heard about that for years. So let's bring heaven to earth, where we all look 25 to 30.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
And we have all our telomeres restored, and we're all
looking amazing. But even if we don't, let's hope that some of us heal and feel like it.
Yes.
And emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically restored to the best that we can be. And Janet, motivation and helping people just be the best that they can be, living their best life. You know, we're cheerleaders, and
we gotta stop talking. We could talk for 20 hours, honestly, but it's an hour and 7 minutes. So we're gonna
we'll cut this off.
We will be back
next Wednesday.
Same bat channel, same bat station.
Yes, and we're promoting at TJ Morris ET Radio and Aquarian Radio and ACO Club on YouTube.
I'm Bret Lueder and Theresa J. Morris and Janet Kira Lessin.
Ascension Center Organization, Alien Contact Organization, and American Communications Online for broadcast media news publishing. And the ACO Press Club.
Aloha. Let's do
Aloha, Janet.
Royal wave. Woo.
Okay, it was nice seeing you, Janet.
Good seeing you.
See you after the eclipse, maybe, right here online, folks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Janet.